Hello, everyone, and welcome to our online panel going out to JSOTs nationally and our live recording of the UJS podcast, Yalla, the podcast for Jewish students. I'm Sammy, the president of the Union of Jewish Students for the UK and Ireland. This evening, we are privileged to be joined by three incredible individuals, all who have been displaced by wars in their countries and have had their education disrupted because of it. Their journeys embody resilience, adaptability, and a deep commitment to creating positive change. Lisa, Noga, and Lana. Thank you so much for joining us. Originally from Ukraine, Lisa's life was upended by the war, forcing her to leave her home and pursue a new path in Israel. Now a third-year management and liberal arts student at Tel Aviv University, she combines her interests in management, media, and psychology while bringing a unique perspective shaped by her experiences of displacement and perseverance. From Rehovot, Israel, Noga's dedication to social involvement has defined her journey from guiding youth and working with individuals with special needs to studying social work at Tel Hai College. The recent conflict disrupted her lives and studies, but her passion for sustainability and community impact shines through her works with life and environment, where she focuses on sustainable city development and environmental advocacy. Lana is a Palestinian from East Jerusalem and a Palestinian activist who very kindly last minute decided to was able to join the panel. So thank you so much. Lana, if I hand over to you to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. First and foremost, I want to thank you for having me on this panel. And secondly, I'd like to thank the audience for allowing me to speak to everyone. I know this is something big to hear a Palestinian narrative, and so thank you for that. A little bit about me. My name is Lana Alqilan. I was born and raised in Louisiana, Baton Rouge in the U.S. But then I moved here to East Jerusalem in Palestine with my family. I'm 25 years old. I graduated from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. I double majored in international relations and journalism and mass communications. And I currently work in the Hebrew University as administrative assistant, but I also am a co-educational director for a program called Kids for Peace that brings Israeli and Palestinian kids from sixth grade to ninth grade to get to know each other and become friends despite everything that's going on.
Amazing. Well, welcome all of you to the panel and thank you so much for joining us today. Could you each start by telling us a bit about who you were before the war started? Lisa, if I start with you.
Hi, it's nice to meet you all. Thank you so much for joining. So, before the war, I was a student and a dancer and an entrepreneur. I was focused on making my dreams come true as a dancer, as a student of management and law school as well. And my days were just filled with my hobbies and things that I really enjoyed doing and my dreaming of future, and my biggest challenges were just balancing it all and keeping up with my studies and all the things that I wanted to become true for me.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And Noga, if you would like to share a bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So before the war started, um, I was living for about a year in the north of Israel. Originally, I'm from the center of Israel. And I moved to the north just because like I love nature and I was tired of like big cities and stuff. I just really wanted somewhere beautiful to live. So I moved to the north of Israel. I studied 1 year and I really love the north. Like I love just sitting on the grass between lessons. I love being a student. Loved going to class, loved seeing my friends, living like 5 minutes away from them. Um, just like I wanted a little bit about the high college. So it's about five less than 5 kilometers um from Lebanon and like about 5 minute drive from Lebanon. And to High University, so it's like really the north of Israel. And High University really has a wide range of people from the Israel community. Like it has Jews and it has Arabs and it has Druze. So it's like it was really nice studying everyone together and it was really nice university.
Thank you so much. And Lana, if you would like to share a bit about yourself before the war started.
I wish my life was all roses and butterflies before the war, but I was literally struggling to find a job because I had just graduated, finished my degree at Hebrew, and I was working in the Ministry of Justice in a student position. So before the war, for months on end, I was just looking for this job to get because I was like, I can't live broke. That's not for me. My lifestyle is too expensive. And so it was kind of just struggling to find a job. And before the war, in a week, I found a job in journalism. And then the day the war's, my first day on the job as a journalist, the war began. So it wasn't the best, but it is what it is. I was also, hanging out with friends before the war, having a good time, here and there, finishing up my seminar, um, basically doing things that a student who's about to finish university would usually do, finding stability.
Amazing. So a question for all three of you. Looking back before the wars, did you see any signs that it might be coming? Were there any tensions or changes in the atmospheres, either on campus or in your community, that started to feel different? Noga, if I could start with you today.
Okay. Not anything drastically different. I mean, living in Israel, something I'm sure Lana and Lisa know what it feels like, um, is full of tension most of the time. Um, like Israel has had a lot of wars. Um, the south of Israel mostly on a daily basis gets rockets. When I was living in the north, there weren't any rockets. There was one, but I wasn't actually in the north that day. So everything was even pretty quiet. Not anything different or that could have told us that something was coming.
And Lana, is there any kind of signs that you saw maybe?
So did I feel like there was anything gonna happen on like the day of October 7th? No, beforehand, like there was no sign like, oh, a war is coming. But I just want to clarify, as a Palestinian, we live under occupation every single day. Like if you go to the old city where Palestinians usually are, um, getting interrogated by a soldier is equivalent to good morning for a Palestinian, is as equivalent to good morning, good night. So we constantly, as Palestinians, live under that sort of tension day to day. And this is for Palestinians in East Jerusalem. Um, then you have Arab Israelis who carry Israeli citizenship that are up in the north. They don't feel that tension because Jews and Israelis and Palestinians live together. So it's not really as tension as it is where I live or how it is in the West Bank. So we're always under that tension in our day-to-day lives. But to the extent where we felt a war was coming, all of us were surprised. We didn't, blew us all away.
Thank you. And Noga? Oh no, Lisa, sorry. Right.
Yeah, so in retrospective, I can say that there was always a tension in Ukraine. I mean, revolutions of 2008 and 2014. We always knew that there will happen something. I just think we didn't want to believe that full-on war can happen in our home, and we never believed that it will come from that space and that side of conflict. So we have lived in a political instability, but nobody really believed something like that can really happen.
Thank you all so much for sharing. And I'm so sorry that you all have gone through so much. Well, now that once the war had started and everything started to begin shifting, what was the transition like for all of you? So Lana, with it happening so close to home, How did this make you feel? Did you feel like you had to navigate different challenges during that time?
So when it came to when the war happened, what was the transition? Um, I always say this, being a Palestinian is it's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because being Palestinian for me is something so beautiful with our tradition, with our culture, with our religion, with everything that it is to be a Palestinian. And then you have the part that afterwards, after the war, it was much more terrifying being a Palestinian because now more than ever, my identity is a threat. My identity is scary to the other side, even though I would never conflict harm on anyone because I'm a peace activist. That's just kind of my the way I am in life. You know, I've always been a peace activist. I'm sorry, can I just have 1 second?
Yeah, yeah, of course. While we wait, Lisa, do you want to talk a bit about kind of obviously you moved from Ukraine to Israel and oh wait,
I'm so sorry.
okay. No, don't worry.
And so sorry, so sorry, but
Don't
because
worry
I'm
at
not,
all.
and I think what I was saying was that it was just this constant like fear for my own life. Like, am I gonna get stopped? Am I gonna get interrogated? Can I speak Arabic out in public? You know, and I was also a journalist at the time, so I had to like I had to be in interviews with a lot of Israelis, and it was scary because I would have to ask some questions and I would hear things that were offensive towards me as a Palestinian, but they didn't know I was a Palestinian. So those are kind of the difficulties I faced. But the transition in short was that I was more scared for myself.
I'm so sorry. And Lisa, kind of going back to you, obviously you moved from Ukraine to Israel, which must have been kind of such a scary and challenging move at times. Did that change kind of um affect your studies and how did you navigate that kind of challenging period of your life?
Yeah, so the transition was really overwhelming, and the process of the transition itself was not an easy one because I didn't know what to do at the time. I was not a student anymore, or I didn't think about myself as something, as someone who is just studying. I knew that I need to find a new way of life, a new way to escape the tragedy. And thank God for good people that are everywhere and helped me because I just crossed the border by feet to Romania and lived in someone's house, some great, amazing family who really helped me. And we were like speaking in Google Translator and trying to communicate like some basic needs and some basic things. And then I came to Israel to live, and I'm still staying in Israel. I plan to do so for the future. So the war made everything feel scary and not stable, and I felt like I lost my identity. I didn't know who am I anymore. I didn't know, is it for sure I'm changing my place of living? Is it not? Will I come back? Because it was promised for us many, many times that the war will stop tomorrow, tomorrow, and tomorrow. And then it was moved to like, okay, next week and next month. And now we are talking about years of just unstopped living on this constant fear of not knowing when this will really stop.
Thank you so much for sharing. And Noga, obviously it was so close to home for you and you had to move from the north. Kind of how did this make you feel and how did you navigate those challenging times?
I just want to say that also when Lana was speaking, also when Lisa was speaking, there's something that repeats itself, and I really understand and also felt, which is fear. Like I feel a lot of us feel fear. So it's also something that really went with me during the war. I mean, if it's, you know, rockets or terrorist organizations or just an attack in my city. So I really understand like what you're saying when you mean fear. And my studies, well, the north, my university actually pretty much became like a war zone. We couldn't even get close to there. Um, so we didn't even know like if we were gonna go back to studies. After like a few months of a lot of uncertainty and a lot of not knowing what's gonna happen, um, finally they decided to start my studies on Zoom. Something that made it really hard for me to study. From being the student that loves going to class and loves seeing people, I became this person who sits in front of the computer trying to concentrate, really couldn't. Like my studies really got hurt during this time.
Thank you all so much for sharing, and especially just that, Noga. I'm sure students will kind of really feel that where they kind of get the privilege of going onto campus, whereas that was taken away from you. So were there any moments where the reality of the situation hit you the hardest, whether on campus or in your personal life? Um, Lisa, was there any ever particular moment where you felt the full weight of everything relying on you?
Yeah, so the main moment for sure is the beginning of the war in my city, because for other people it started in 2014 with invasion of Crimea and invasion of other regions in Ukraine. But we didn't feel it that much. We were trying to volunteer as much as we could and helping on a campus and sending all the help that we could possibly do. But let me tell you, it's like more than a day ride from my home town to there, so it still felt distant and a bit unreal. And when I waked up on some morning in February and looking out of my window and seeing smoke and understanding that that's not an earthquake that we got used to or any like other, I don't know, natural disaster or something, that's something human, and that's a bomb. We're under attack. Opening my phone, opening the news, and hearing that's like all of the Ukrainian regions are under attack, and we need to hide, but there is nowhere to hide because there are almost close to none of bomb shelters in Ukraine, and that's a country that it's so huge that nobody believes that it needs to be prepared for the war, and it needs to do something to in case of such an event happening. So that's constant fear of losing losing life of my close ones, of my friends that was born on that day. It's still with me, and I think I will never forget about it.
I'm so sorry. And Noga, what about you? Did anything make you feel like everything had truly changed? And kind of the biggest when it
Yeah,
hit you the hardest?
yeah. Um, I think, I mean, I know. It was the 7th of October. Um, so I woke up in the morning and like we got this phone call saying we're at war. So I was like, we didn't know what it meant at first. I was supposed to worked at a museum up north, so I was supposed to go to work. So I went to work and we opened the news and we literally just like listening to people calling into the news, people living on the border of Gaza. Um, and just like I remember this one woman like talking and saying like, so there's terrorists walking in my house. I think they just killed my dogs outside. Like, come please help us. So that like her story really stayed with me. And like it was also a day that like I didn't know where my friends were, so I was texting them, trying to find out if they're okay, if there were any of them went to the Nova Festival, if my friends living in the like on the border with Gaza, are they okay? Um, and also a lot of videos of horrifying things. I won't go into it. But really horrifying videos of what was going on in the south of Israel. So that was like a day that really I felt everything was falling down. A lot of my friends got drafted, so I was worried, just worried for everyone. And I was up north on the border, in Lebanon sit the Hezbollah, which are really strong. I mean, they're very powerful. And I was really scared that they were gonna join that day, the Hamas in the south, and invade the north of Israel, which would have meant a lot of more death. So I really like just packed my car with the most important things, just like a few things that I knew I couldn't live without, and I like drove to the center of Israel, just like got out of there.
Thank you for sharing. And I'm so sorry that must have been so kind of terrifying, especially in the moment. Um, and Lana, like, when did it, do you feel like it's hit you the hardest of the reality of your situation, especially kind of being a Palestinian living in East Jerusalem? What have you found the most challenging?
Um, I think it hit me the most. It hits me every day since the war began. Opening the news and hearing that more and more people in Gaza are dying. Um, Innocent civilians, children, women, medical staff, journalists. When you hear that every single day and then you see the numbers go up more and more and more, it it kills you. And I remember that during it was um, in October where I traveled to the U.S. with my with an Israeli friend of mine. Me and her have been best friends since we were 16 when we joined a peace camp together called Tomorrow's Women. And we traveled to the U.S. to do a speaking tour about the situation. And you're talking about in the heat of the moment, an Israeli and a Palestinian are going all the way to the US to talk about peace, to talk about the possibility of building bridges. Um, and we had a talk on the 1 year anniversary of October 7th. And after each one finished her speech, we looked at each other and we cried in front of a whole audience. We broke out into tears. And it's when it hit me that for a full year, all we witnessed was death and destruction and horror. And it's been going on for a year. And fascist radical people who are in charge right now that are our leaders, and I don't even want to call them leaders, whether it's on either side, have let this go on for a year. A year till and it had to take the most racist, bigoted piece of crap that is now president in the US to cause the ceasefire to finally happen. And I think that day of the 1 year anniversary, it hit me. It really hit hard. Over 40, I think it was over 40,000 Gazans at the time killed, murdered. Houses destroyed, buildings destroyed. Hostages are still there. Um, Families are still protesting on the streets, day and night on the streets. We are protesting. Families are suffering in Gaza, and you see all this happening. And that day it hit me like, after a year hasn't stopped. They haven't come to the decision like enough is enough. So I think that's when it really broke me, and it broke her too. And we just looked at each other and we cried. And after we finished crying, I gave her a hug and she gave me a hug. And that to me was the realization that this needs to happen in order for us to heal.
Thank you so much for sharing. Um, and for all of you, I'm sure like it was very physically draining as well as mentally. So how did the war affect you physically? Were there challenges in staying safe, healthy, or even just trying to find kind of a sense of normalcy in your day-to-day life? Noga, if we can start with you this time.
Yeah. So I think there was a lot of I didn't have a lot of stability at that time. Um, I really didn't know where to go. Like I was moving between houses. Like I still had my stuff up north. I was really trying to find meaning. Like I had really a few months of like not doing anything, going crazy, like just waiting for studies to start. And I think it was really hard, like until I found something to do every day that will hold me, um, that it will help me, and not only be in front of the news all day, always looking at what's going on. Like that was really draining. Like it was really tough at the beginning.
Thank you. And Lana?
Health-wise, I would say I don't advise anyone to do this, but I'm a smoker. So, like, I've been smoking for 5 years. I know it's a nasty habit. I don't want to hear it. I've heard it enough. Okay. But I'm stressed. Okay. I need a cigarette to get through my day. And I think I started smoking a lot more because I was constantly stressed, especially when I was a journalist. So, like, health-wise, I don't know how I'm alive right now, but I'm guessing I'm one of the Lord's strongest soldiers, so it's fine. But I was like smoking very heavily. And I was very like mentally drained. Like mentally, I was out. Bye. I was like, I felt like I was a body that was physically moving, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually dead. So it had a very negative effect on me.
So sorry. And also do not advise smoking as a good thing to anyone listening. And Lisa, how about you in affecting your day-to-day life?
Yeah, so physically it was really exhausting, and the war reaching all of us, and just hearing all around myself, there is a war, there is a war, and hearing the news and checking constantly who is where, how, and what everyone's needs, and just it was really hard to find a place for myself as a person. Yeah, and really hard to stop and reflect what do really feel like inside of me, and not trying to check on everybody, and then coming to Israel and reliving the same experience, almost the same experience again. I don't want to compare it. I don't think it's the same in terms of big things, but for me, as for Lisa, it was a biggest flashback of my life. Just waking up and seeing the news, it's a war now, sent me to, I don't know, to other world, and I didn't want to speak with anybody, didn't want to do anything. As a professional dancer, from I started dancing from like when I was 3. I couldn't hear the music, I couldn't make myself move, and really starting from zero again felt terrible.
Thank you. And I think we've all seen kind of from like we've seen it over here, and I'm sure you've all seen it over there about how the media portrays the war versus kind of what you're hearing firsthand, and especially for the three of you kind of experiencing it firsthand. Do you think there's been a gap between what was shown on the news and the reality on the ground? And Lana, like if you want to start, especially with your kind of background in journalism, we're really interested to hear.
I think it's fair and square to say, um, media here and there just sucks. It's wow. As a journalist, it's important to be objective. It's very important to just lay the facts on the ground. What it is, say it. Whether you can't, you're, you don't say, it's not good journalism if you're writing your personal opinion. It's just not. And I think the problem with us people as well is that when we look at social media or when we look at a media source, we look at out something that makes us comfortable. And we're all victims to it. We go to a media site or we go on social media and we follow a page or we listen to the news that stands with what we believe in. And it's because we're scared to put ourselves to make ourselves comfortable in the uncomfortable. And I think that's wrong. As a journalist, I had to listen to both sides. And it was important for me because both narratives, whether it's Israeli or whether it's Palestinian, both narratives carry their own truth. And it is crucial for us, people who consider themselves pro-humanity, to hold both narratives, to hold both truths, and to allow it to exist. And unfortunately, media doesn't want to, when you put yourself in that algorithm, in that little echo chamber, that little bubble of yours, you do not allow yourself to see the suffering of someone else, which isn't okay. And this deep polarization within the discourse of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, whether it's Russia and Ukraine, isn't healthy for us because it makes us pro something. And it is okay to say that I am a Palestinian and I sympathize with Palestinians. And, also say, like, I feel bad that families for the hostages are still suffering and waiting for their family members to come home. It's called being human, and it's fine. There's no shame in that. As well as there's no shame for an Israeli to say, I'm Israeli, I want the hostages to come home, but I don't agree with the suffering and the destruction and all the inhumane things that are happening in Gaza. You're human. You can say that. You can stand with humanity. So I think media doesn't want to show these types of perspectives that do exist within this country, that people are saying, that people who are pro-humanity, whether they're Israeli or Palestinian, they're saying this, and media doesn't want to show that because that doesn't win. That doesn't win views. But it's sad. And that's a sad reality that we live in.
Thank you. Annalisa, kind of, did you notice any of the gap when you were in Ukraine and then simultaneously moving over?
Yeah, I want to say that it was a huge gap in between what media showed and my own experience on ground, and I can see, like, I can tell you for sure that hearing all the things that are happening outside, inside, and then just watching the news reduce it and dehumanize it just to numbers and headings that are there just because they're popular and people would like to watch that. But wait, like, numbers of people there, numbers of casualties. That's my friend. We talked yesterday, and today there is nobody to talk to because he is killed. The person's dead, and that's like the building where I remember living, and now there is no building. For me, that's the memories that I felt that are really dear and close to my heart. For me, that's emotions that I remember feeling and the experiences that are unforgettable. But for news, those just are headings and numbers, just nothing else, nothing more, unfortunately.
Thank you so much for sharing. And Noga?
I have to say, I really agree with what was said. I think that media has a really strong role in dehumanizing. And also, it really gives flame to hate. Like, it makes hate, it really makes everyone hate more. I think it makes, first of all, I don't want to say it spreads lies as much as it shows a very specific side. And really, like Lana, you said before about wanting to be objective. Well, I can say that a lot of media is really not objective, obviously. And a lot of the things we see, like, just make me hate more. And I know it makes other people in the world hate more and pick sides. And I think picking a side it's not fair. I mean, I don't even know what I think. So how can someone in another country decide which side he's on and what's right and what's wrong? And I think the media has a really strong role in that. I mean, I think it's really also split us. Like, I don't want to hate anyone in my country. And I feel like there's a lot of hate going on because of the media.
Thank you so much. And now kind of moving on to hopes for the future. So as we look towards the future, the war has obviously had a massive impact, but what are your hopes for the future, both personally and for your communities? Lisa, if we start with you.
So for me, I just hope to have a hope, as it can sound, I don't know, not logical or whatever. I just hope not to lose the idea and the belief that everything will be all right and we'll just have our normal lives moving forward and making plans for next years and decades. For Ukraine is that my hope is for stability and for rebuilding, for a future where my friends who are still there and my family who are still there to find the meaning and to live there, to stay on their ground. For Israel, I really hope for community, for really good future and full of just happy moments, just living together. And for students and for community, I hope we don't become numb to the things that happened. We don't forget about them and we speak about them and we continue with the ideas to bring everyone together and to stay resistant.
Thank you so much. And Noga, what are your hopes for the future?
I think for myself, mostly to not be scared, because I really, a lot of the time, walk in my, like, just in the street and I look over my back and I'm scared because I don't know who's going to come behind me and who wants to kill me. And I also want to say, um, that there are a lot of Arabs in Israel, and some of them are really great. Like, I have Arab friends, and sometimes hearing the Arab language is triggering, and I don't want it to be. Like, I really hope it won't be anymore because I don't want to live in fear, and I don't want the Arabs in my country to feel like I'm scared of them because I shouldn't be because they don't hate me, a lot of them. I mean, there's always the ones who do and Israelis who hate. Um, but I don't want to say that I hope that we'll go back to what it was before the war because that wasn't good. Like, it exploded because there was something going on, and I want a solution. I mean, I don't know if I'm living this dream or this hope that I don't know. Maybe it's a bit childish, but I just want not to be scared and for my community to live a quiet life.
Thank you so much. And Lana, what are your hopes for the future?
Short term right now, for this whole war to be over. Everything. No more, because now that they stopped there's a ceasefire in Gaza, it's now going into the West Bank and Jenin and Tulkarem. So if one place isn't affected, another place will be. So I really just want this to be over because I'm tired of Palestinians, whether they're in the West Bank, whether they're in Gaza, whether they're in Jerusalem, constantly. We're not living, we're surviving. I don't want that anymore. I don't want to say that I'm merely trying to survive. I want to say that I'm living. And that's my long-term goal, not only for myself, but for Palestinians everywhere. Um, I want freedom. I want justice. I want to breathe, and I don't want to feel like I'm suffocating anymore. And just like what Noga said, which is true, is that just like she doesn't want to live in fear, and she has all rights not to want to live in fear, I don't want that either. I don't think either of us want it. So it's a shared dream, what me and her have.
Thank you so much. Such like beautiful hopes from all three of you. And also I personally, and I'm sure everyone listening, both live right now and when the podcast is out, you're all three such incredible women. So what role do you think young people like yourselves can play in shaping that future you just mentioned that you hope for? And what steps do you think we need to take to rebuild both personally and as a community? No, if I can start with you this time. Thank you.
All right. So I'm gonna touch like two bases in that context. So the first thing, as an Israeli living in Israel, with a community which is, again, as I said, is not only Jews. There's a lot of um, there's a lot of discrimination going like in the community if it's between everyone. So I think the first thing to do is like look at yourself. Um, for me and for everyone, like look, what are you doing? Like, am I respecting the person in front of me? What can I do to stop discriminating someone or hurting someone before we look outside? So that's the first thing. And the second thing, I think a lot of people like think they know the truth. Like, I'm right. This is what's going on. This is what's happening. And I think if you go into the world thinking, oh, I know what should be done, I know the truth, you're really not going to get anywhere. I think you have to be really open-minded. I think you have to listen to the people around you because they have really important things to say. And Nana touched before about our leadership horrifying from all sides. I don't think peace will come from our leadership. I think it will come from us, from down below. I don't know if down below sounds right in Hebrew, it does. From the bottom, maybe, better to say.
From society.
Exactly, from
Society.
society. um, so I really hope that we can make it happen because I don't trust the people above.
Thank you. And Lana, what steps do you think we need to take to move towards this hopeful future?
So, first and foremost, the first step that we need to take is to educate ourselves, to deeply educate ourselves. And what do I mean by educate ourselves? Don't educate yourself with the things you already know. I'm talking about if you're a Jewish Israeli, talk to a Palestinian, understand their narrative, learn from them. What is if you're it's okay to be curious, ask, understand their suffering, and tell them what you fear as well. If you're Jewish, if you're Israeli, if you're just simply just anyone that's curious, educate yourself. Open your mind, your heart, your soul, your body, everything to the possibility of listening to a different narrative. That's the first step, is making yourself comfortable in the uncomfortable. I always say it because that's what I did. And here I am today. Second, I would say stop trying to think that you need to pick a side. If you are a human being that thinks between you and yourself, I don't like the idea of violence. I don't like the idea of destruction. I don't like the idea of innocent people dying. I don't like, then you're on the right path of seeking for a solution that will benefit all. So start there and just see where it takes you. That's what I want from people.
Thank you so much. And Lisa, what steps do you think we need to take?
Yeah, I think that we really need to use our voices to bring peace. We really need to speak up, to say what we want, because we are the only ones who really can voice our wishes and our hopes for future and for present as well, and refuse to accept the war as the things that are intangible. That's the way it is. I don't agree with it, and I really think that we need to voice up and speak about solution and speak about things that can bring us together and make this world a better place for us to live and thrive.
Thank you all so much. Lana kind of touched on it a bit before, but obviously, considering recent politician statements, as civilians on the ground, do you think these statements help, hinder, or neither the above, the reality of moving closer to peace? Lana, if I can start with you.
I'm gonna just say it so straightforward. Politicians are liars. They're the biggest freaking liars. I'm gonna keep it PG-13, but they are liars. They don't know what they're doing. Whatever they do, it's for their own personal benefit. It is not for the people. It is not by the people. It is nothing that has to do with the people. It is for themselves. So politicians have done nothing but make the situation worse. And with that, I say, um, us, what Noga said, actually, us, the people, the society, the communities. If we really want a better future, it's us. We're the future. I'm raising a generation. I'm right now raising a generation of kids that want a better future. Those people are my future. So screw the politicians. We don't trust them.
And Lisa?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything said before. And I want just to add that it's maybe easy to talk about peace from a distance when it's just the speech, when you just need to come somewhere with the TV cameras on, speak about it, and then just go with your things. But for us, for people living through this experience, it's the reality, it's the survival of each day of thinking what will come tomorrow, what will come next minute, next hour. And I think that's the only really like statements from politicians. They're relevant and they're true, like they have true meaning and they truly matter only when they're backed by actions, only when we see things really changing. That's when they matter, and without it, there is no meaning.
Thank you. And Noga?
First of all, I agree with what was said. Both of you. Um, I just want to say, I think he's really stupid. I mean, he's not acting realistically. He's not saying things that are realistic. I think he's bringing a lot of fear into a lot of people because I don't think people sitting in Gaza are happy to hear what he's saying. And I think it even brings more hate, more fear to them and to us, to everyone. Like I'm scared from what he's saying. He's very extreme. I do not agree with the things he says. Um, I don't like him.
Thank you all so much. And kind of the final question from me before I open it to the floor, if anyone has any questions, what would be your one ask, comment, or statement to give to our audience tonight? Lisa, if I can start with you. Thank you.
Yeah, so if I can leave you with only one message, it's just to be grateful for small things and never take anything for granted. A lot of things can be taken unexpectedly from us, and they were in our life many times. So just waking up and looking out of the window and seeing sun, amazing. I don't know, rain, that's the things that we can look for to be grateful for them, because some people don't have it, and some people can really struggle with finding their peace and their happy place inside. And I think that's really important to find that place of calm in ourselves.
Thank you. And Noga?
Yeah, I actually want to say it to the students who are here. I can't really see their faces. Um, but I think being a Jew abroad, I'm sure brings a lot of complications with it, a lot of um maybe fear or discrimination. I don't know, like I'd love to hear stories. And I just want to say you're probably really strong and I'm sure you've gone through stuff. So I just want to tell you like that, like thank you for I don't know.
Thank you. And Lana, finally.
I heard this in an interview one time, and words blind. So choose humanity. And most importantly, I want to say one last thing to all the students who are here today. Thank you for listening to my perspective as a Palestinian. I don't think you all will ever be able to understand how much it means to me, but also how brave it makes all of you. So thank you.
So we have an audience question from Dan. So firstly, hi, he says, hi, and thank you all so much for joining and sharing a bit about all your difficult experiences. They agree with what you guys said about politicians, but obviously they need leaders. So what would you guys imagine might be the ideal leader or group of people that you would approve of leading your communities? Noga, if I can start with you, that's okay. Also, if any of you don't want to answer, that's okay.
That's a really tough question. Um, I'm not sure. I mean, it's so complicated because it's like right and left in the country, and the right wing, which I'm definitely not liking, are really extreme. Um, but there are things that they do that make me feel protected. And on the other side, there's the left wing, which I agree with a lot of things they say. Um, but also there might be things that they say that might make me feel scared for my future. So I'm guessing something in between. Um, it's a really tough question. I think I have to think about it a lot more before I just answer like that.
No worries at all. Lana or Noga, do you want to say anything?
Dan, I'm sorry. I can't give you a direct answer of who should be the right politician because I feel like they end up surprising us like we're bamboozled. Like, are you kidding me? I really thought you were great. And it's like being set up on a blind date thinking the guy is great, and then you like meet him in real life and you're like, oh my God, what? Catfished. You're catfished. So I really genuinely don't know. I really don't. But all I know is that what I'm sure of is that the leadership that exists now, they gotta go. Bye. Mm-mm.
Thank you. Also,
Absolutely.
Noga, do you want to add anything? No pressure if you don't. Oh, Lisa even as well.
Yeah, I can add that it's really a tough one to say you like just I would love to say your name. This person is there is no such thing as perfect leader, and we genuinely we're curious to see that yet, but I'm sure that someone who is making tough decisions with integration and someone who really cares about people and is really a person who is voicing the voices of community, the voices of everyone together, and finding these bridges of communication and togetherness inside the country.
Thank you all so much for answering such a challenging question. I think last time, Lana, you were on the podcast, we spoke about it. We tried to speak about it, and the only conclusion we got to was it needs to be a woman.
Literally, oh my God, yes. I'm sorry, Dan. But yes, a woman, chef's kiss.
I agree.
Women need to run the world. And that is a subjective yet objective opinion. I don't know how it works, but it works.
And then from Nathaniel, thanks everyone for such a respectful conversation. He said it was so rare to see these days. You talked about opening the students' minds and to look at different opinions, but how far do you think this needs to go? And they use the idea of kind of what's happening in the US and should they open their mind to the kind of the crazy ideas that people have been throwing out more recently. I'm happy for you all to jump in whether you want to speak about it or not. No pressure.
What do I mean when I say open your mind and heart or listen to different opinions? Obviously, you're doing something that you're not used to doing. You're putting yourself out there. It's literally like putting yourself out there. So you don't want to go to something that'll put you in automatic shock. So you don't want to go to someone who's like extreme in the sense where you're like, okay, whoa, chill. You want to meet someone who will look at you and say, let me tell you my perspective. Then you tell me yours and let's talk. You want to meet someone who's there to meet someone who's willing to listen to you because they want to understand, not because they want to respond. Simply just have a response. That's the difference. Listen to me to understand me, not because you want to respond back to me and prove yourself right or some sort of shit like that. Excuse me for my profanities. Um, that's what you need to do. And it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But it takes someone to have an open heart like you or an open mind as you to do that. It's not easy, but it's possible.
Thank you. Noga, Lisa, would you like to add anything?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. It was about how we've talked about opening our minds to different opinions and how far do you think this should go? Like, should we be opening our minds to new kind of ideas that are being thrown out by people in the US, for example?
First of all, I just really agree with what Lana said. And I also think once you're solid with what you believe in and what you know, listening to other people won't be that scary. Because sometimes when you're not sure what you think, listening to other people might like make you second guess yourself. Um, so I just agree with Lana. I mean, just be open-minded, and if someone's coming to lecture you, then stop it. I mean, you're not coming for a lecture. You're not coming to lecture. You're just coming to listen, and they should absolutely let you speak as well.
Thank you so much. And Lisa, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that opening our minds to other ideas means hearing and understanding the person that we speak to, and it doesn't not mean taking their ideas into our hearts. So if you open your mind and hear something extreme, it doesn't mean that you need to constantly agree with that just because you heard it. But hearing that idea is already really important thing to do, to understand that there are so many ideas and so many things, and people are so diverse. Finding your own voice and your own beliefs in that huge world of ideas and beliefs is really important. So to do that, it's really crucial to open our ears and open our minds to other ideas that other people can have.
Thank you so much. And unfortunately, that we've run out of time, and that brings us to the end of tonight's event. A big thank you again to Lisa, Noga, and Lana for joining us today, sharing your experiences, giving your insights into what life has been like during these challenging months. If anything on this panel or events on campus have been triggering for anyone listening afterwards or on the event tonight, remember that UJS has our 24/7 dedicated welfare support line open. You can call us on 020-7424-3281 to speak to one of our experienced staff or volunteers. You can also follow UJS on all social media at UJS_UK for updates on future episodes, events, and opportunities. Don't forget to tune in next time to hear from more of our incredible guests and meet some amazing people on Yalla, the podcast of Jewish students. But for now, this is goodbye from me, and I hope to see you on campus soon. And good night, everyone.